Hello and welcome to Wild Owl TV. It's been a while since I did a garden video diary, so I thought as it's a nice morning before the rain and the wind comes in, I'd take you around the garden and just give you an update on, well, things that have been happening, because as I say, it's been a few weeks. So let's have a little jaunt around. Well, coming over, starting off in the solitary bee area, as you'll see, the wildflowers that I planted a couple of months ago have all come up, and this has really given me some lovely late blooms, and this is fantastic for any of the insects that are on the wing, because of course by now, if you've got a garden with things that flower early, it would all gone over, but we've still got food in the garden for insects, butterflies and bees. The bees in particular have been very active on the borage, the bumblebees. So my solitary bee habitat, well, there's not really many of the cells filled, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. We've had lots of butterflies on these nasturtiums. We've had the large white and the small white, and we keep actually turning her around so that, oh, there we go, there's a little caterpillar there. Let's see that little caterpillar. That's a large white caterpillar. I don't know how much this, I've got quite a lot of bright sunlight on the screen, so I can't see if this is going to focus or not. But that's great. I mean, these plants haven't done much in the way of flowers, but they've certainly provided a lot of food for the two different species of white butterfly, as have other plants around the garden for other caterpillars. We had all sorts of moth caterpillars. If you look around at some of these plants, they've all got sort of pepper dotted with holes, and that's always a sign that something's eating them, and actually that's a good thing. You're providing food, so that's one of the benefits of having a wide variety of plants. This little messy pot here, ignore the knife in there, that's my slug knife. But this little messy pot here, this has actually been fantastic. We've had all sorts of things on here. Speckled bush cricket, moth caterpillars, hummingbird hawk moth on the buddleia. I don't know what that is, a buddleia and something else in there. This area didn't really do much. I've just topped up the feeders, and of course now that the temperatures are beginning to drop, birds need to keep themselves warm, and when anything needs to keep itself warm, of course it means the body has to work harder, and that's where energy is lost. So I'm now beginning to buy suet blocks for the suet feeders, and in the feeders I've got a nice supply of sunflower hearts. I'm not feeding live mealworms any longer, there's no need for that. They'd like them every now and then, but really that's all about young in the spring with all the fledglings and in the breeding season. So a bit of a messy border here, but that's deliberately messy. I shall have to do a little bit of pruning on the hedge now that all the birds have stopped breeding, but I don't know if you can hear them. That hedge is full of sparrows at the moment, which is fantastic. House sparrows have had a hard time in the last few decades, but they're doing all right here. The pond is teeming with fish. We've got loads and loads and loads of sticklebacks. Every now and then I see a dragonfly, and there's frogs also, of course, in there. You can see here more borage. Well, this is again all late planting. Even the poppies, just some stuff I chucked in there. And well, is that a weed or is that a flower? I think it's a flower, and that's valuable life, as I say. Buddleia here, this buddleia this side isn't doing an awful lot, but the Davidii, which is the other one, tends to last a little bit longer. But as you can see, I've got a wonderful display of cosmos, and although we are only early September, a lot of gardens now don't have much colour in them because of the time of year. But these cosmos, well, once again, they were put in a bit late, but look at, they're fantastic. They're such good value, and we've got a lovely display here in the butterfly garden at last. Chased a cat out of this area this morning and got a bit of an issue because I allow the badger, well, the badger allows himself to come and go through this area here under the fence, and that's fresh soil there, which I just blocked it again. And when the badger digs it out to get through, it then gives a gateway to the cat to come in, and the cat hides around this area. So I have to keep filling in that little hole just to make sure that the cat can't get in. So this area here is brilliant. As I say, I've planted borage in all sorts of places. It's not a show plant, borage, but it really is an easy plant to grow, and it does wonders for bumblebees. Our rowan there is doing quite well. So have a little look around again. Now we've got a lot of butterflies on the fruit feeders, and as I'm talking to you, we've got one here flying around. This is a red admiral, and it's generally the red admirals and the commas that use this feeder. Look at that beautiful butterfly, and that is on banana, and this is nectar. This is, for the butterfly, absolutely valuable source of food. I've got some plums on there as well, so we can focus properly. Got plums, butter and bananas. Taking the melons off, but melons are quite good as well. Something's been nibbling away at that plum. That plum there, that wasn't as nibbled as that. That could have been the squirrel, I don't know. Something's been at it. I wouldn't have thought a wood mouse would crawl up there, but there's no reason why it wouldn't. If I was a wood mouse, I'd get up on that table at night. And again, obviously, in the nighttime moths, and that will go on there. The hibernaculum area here now, this is going to be very, very important in the coming months, because this is effectively a hole with compost and pots, carpet, tubes, and there's always things in here, but gradually a lot of creatures are thinking now about the winter, and there is a wood mouse nest in here somewhere. We can have a little look under here. There's always worms under there. It's full of worms, this compost area, and even just there, that would have been where a little wood mouse would have been just sat under there probably. So this is a really good area, and as I say, a lot of things are going to be retreating to the depths of that area, that hibernaculum, for the winter. We've now got, obviously, our apple trees we've got more apples than we can ever eat, and crab apples, we wouldn't want to eat them, but the blackbirds will. They'll love them. And the hawthorn this year is doing really well, and of course hawthorn berries are another source of food. So this is my wildlife hedge, and it really is becoming quite established now. The hawthorn is going up quite high. There's laurel in there as well, but the hawthorn is the key one. It's a really good plant, not only for fruit but also for the leaves, because things eat hawthorn. Just having a look under here. Most times I've looked under here in the last few weeks, I found a newt. Because the newts are now, they've left, all of them are leaving the pond and they're finding their way onto land. This is where this wild area is so massively important to these animals, and this is the nursery pond area. So once again, I haven't looked under these sheets for a little while now, and it's a good thing, because I don't want to keep disturbing things. You never know what we're going to find. Nothing under there. Very conscious every time I lift a sheet that I'm disturbing something, so we can have a little look in the toad cave. Somewhere I do look, and very often there's something in there. Oh, today it's a slug. Anything else hiding in there? Oh, and there's a slug, and they're so easy to miss. Not the slug, the newt. So there we have a newt there that is just hiding under that piece of stone in this cave. So this is showing you once again the value of having hidey holes in wild areas. I'll just put that back gently. Very, very popular little cave that is. Everything heads for that. It's unbelievable how many different individual amphibians I've found in there over the years. Frogs, toads, newts, even a slow worm. Talking of slow worms, I wonder. It's all getting a bit cool now, so I should imagine slow worms retreating into a different area. Not quite sure what their calendar is like, but so the pond is very clear now. I'm really pleased with. I've got a little pump running just to circulate the water at this end, and that's a nice clear area. And then the rest of the pond is very still. Huge amount of lilies. Now I'm going to have to be careful with it, because of course if I leave these in here, they'll all rot down, and that's going to give a massive spike to the nitrates in the pond, which then changes the whole composition of the water, so I'll probably get a lot of them out, as will the trees, because when those leaves start falling, they'll fall in there as well. I've actually put Niger seed here, and nothing's going on it, but the reason I've got it down here is because bullfinches, which is what I'm trying to attract onto it, they're quite shy birds, and I thought if I get it over here where it's a little bit away from the house, I might have a chance of something going on there. So that's living in hope at the moment. Next year we're going to do a lot more with wildflowers and a lot more with pots, because pots are a great way of just chucking seeds in and you can move them around and still provide a variety. We're going to be targeting food plants for moths and butterflies, but in particular moths. We've had some fantastic moths in the garden this year, and there's one we had a couple of nights ago, a new one again. But when you think there's 2,500 species of moth in the UK, there's room for plenty of them in my garden. Yeah, I think we're pretty much caught up. What am I missing? I'm always going to miss something. The woodpecker pole, I should say, despite all my bragging about my patented woodpecker pole, I haven't had a woodpecker on it for a little while now. And I say a little while, I'm talking about 4 months. So that's a bit of a shame. However, winter's coming, and it might be the local pair aren't there anymore. I've set up a new feed station over here, which is very, very popular now with long-tailed tits. And I'll just look at those peanuts. They've gone off. Peanuts are rubbish really to put in a feed. I wouldn't even bother. Chuck them on the ground for badgers and for mice and maybe jays in the winter, in the autumn and stuff. But yeah, for keeping them in feed, they very quickly go mouldy, and then you've got major problems with toxins then. So there's a little bee there again. These are all little insects which are going to be dying soon, but as long as they can find food somewhere. It's actually a hoverfly, this particular one we're looking at. Calling it a bee, it's not a bee, it's a hoverfly. I love hoverflies. Hoverflies are really interesting. What I find is when I plant wildflowers, I always find that the minute you put wildflowers in, you see a lot more hoverflies, whereas when you've got conventional flowers and plants bought from a garden centre, don't see as many, which shows the value of wildflowers. So what have I got going on? Well, I've been really busy last couple of months. I've got a film on short-eared owls that I've done. It's about 5 minutes about short-eared owls in South Gloucestershire. That is due to be, it's actually done and uploaded to Facebook, but it's on a schedule to be released on the 20th of this month, which is the day that I do the first owl prowl, which is at Ridgewoods, just up the road from me here. I've got this week's quiet for me. We were supposed to be going away, but with all the wind and the rain, we've decided not to go camping of all things. I've got more time to do, prepare some more things. I've been updating the website, got a price list on the website and just things like that. But next week it really starts to get busy. So I've got owl prowls beginning in various areas. I've got one in Ridgewoods. I've got Arnesvale Cemetery, we've got the bicycle safari, there's all sorts of events, so look at my events page, can't remember all of them. I've got a talk at Yate Library on British owls, and I've got talks all over the place, some of them local in South Gloucestershire. I'm basing a lot of my work in South Gloucestershire now. I used to work all over the region, but I've decided that actually my home is really where I want to be a lot more active. So I'm targeting and accommodating a lot more clubs and groups in South Gloucestershire just to educate about wildlife. And of course, although owls is my specialist subject, the garden for wildlife is really the thing I want to really get across to people, particularly in Yate. You think how many gardens we've got in Yate, and if people can learn a bit from somebody like myself, I'm not an expert, I'm just an enthusiast, but there's knowledge I've got which I can pass on, which of course you all know because you see it here on Wild Owl TV. And like I was saying, I might have said this to you before, but if you can make changes to your garden and you start seeing new animals in there, whether it's a moth, a butterfly, whether it's a new bird, don't worry if you don't know what the name of it is. If it's a new one you haven't seen before, brilliant. it's really good fun looking up the name, but it doesn't matter. You've got it in there, and that's what it's all about. You don't have to be an expert and identify everything, and you also don't have to make all of the little habitats and that. You go in a shop and buy it and then stick it out ready for the animals to use it. It doesn't really matter. We live modern lives, we're all busy, and we're lazy. Aren't we lazy? And we don't want to be going into woodland and picking up loads of things and then trying to make bug houses and taking 2 days to do it, only to find that it's failed. That's great in theory, and of course it's very environmentally friendly, so it's fantastic, but I kind of come from the real world, and we're urban people. We live in a consumer society. We don't like it, but the fact of the matter is that is what we live in. And so if you invest in something off the shelf, fine, buy it from a good manufacturer, get something that maybe is FSC timber, which is important forest stewardship scheme, so that the timber is sourced sustainably and responsibly. Those are the things you can look at, but then get something out into your garden for wildlife, and you can make a difference. So you don't have to be going around with a woolly hat on and treading around forests with your machete cutting up wood to try and make all these things. All right, you don't have to be an expert. Just be kind to wildlife and do something at home. So anyway, I'm on a little bit of a personal rant. I hope you enjoyed that catch up. There's bound to be something so obvious that I've forgotten, and maybe I'll have to make some notes in the future. But nice to speak to you, and I'll see you soon. And don't forget, not this week, but next week is when it all starts happening. So we're getting into owlie season, and the weather's going to calm down by then. So with a bit of luck, my owl prowls won't be in pouring rain, but they'll be in a beautiful moonlit woodland, and we'll see if we can find some owls. So come along on an owl prowl, okay? They really are good fun. And make sure you tell me that you look at my channel, Wild Owl TV. See you soon. Bye.